and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove, and I'm joined by the newest member of the Cruisistance.
Yep.
It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I don't know if I've officially joined or if I've gotten like rebel insignia or whatever is necessary, but yeah, I'm down to join.
Hashtag Cruisistance.
Yep.
If you missed yesterday's show, there's obviously a big thing happening where Anthony Precourt, the Columbus Crew owner, is looking to move the team to Austin against the will of his fans. He's trying to recreate. He's trying to add an extra scene to the opening of basketball by moving Columbus Crew to Austin, Texas.
Yep.
We talked about the newsy element of it yesterday, and I had this thought overnight of what action can be taken. Turns out people are organizing.
Yes. Now, when you say you did the newsy part, you go like Christian Bale. Are we talking like a little crutchy? What are we going with here?
What do you mean?
The Newsies.
Oh, I haven't seen the Newsies.
Oh, get it, Tig. But you haven't seen the Newsies and you haven't read Harry Potter.
If we don't sell papes, no one sells papes.
Were you a child, is my question.
Yeah, but in a different country.
Oh, that's
I have
true.
a different cultural lens.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah. Back to Columbus.
All right.
Back to Columbus.
Yeah.
So we found out there is a guy called Morgan Hughes. You can
Yes.
find him on Twitter at Morgan_Hughes, spelled Hughes. And there is a website now, SaveTheCrew.com, where it seems like, I'm actually not sure if this is Morgan's website or not, but it seems like a lot of Columbus fans are sort of organising around this website, getting everybody who wants to be involved, and they're going to be sort of pressuring other MLS owners to vote against this if it comes to a vote and keep the team in Columbus.
Yeah.
Question for you, Taylor. Why is this important if you're not a Columbus Crew fan?
I mean, well, I think it's as important in my mind as what happened to the Seattle Supersonics in the NBA because it's essentially a franchise being hijacked. And for some people, that's like, oh, it's a business, you're making money. It's what happens. You move business to a different area. But in reality, like this is a club. It's one of the original clubs. You can make an argument that it was one of the most important clubs in Major League Soccer history.
Yeah.
And so to kind of tear it
First
away
soccer-specific stadium.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I mean, amongst many other things, and to tear it away from
home
the
of
fans.
Dossacero.
To tear it away from the fans, I think, like, really, it's just an unfair action. And to do so in kind of a nefarious way where you put season tickets up for sale, but then don't tell them about this move, so now they're obligated to buy those tickets because I don't think you can get your refund back. It's just very, very shady / sketchy / kind of morally bankrupt.
And I would also argue that just because Columbus Crew is not your team, you know, say you're an LA Galaxy fan or you're a fan of another MLS team, if they can do it to Columbus Crew, it means that they can do it to you, right? This is a chance for soccer fans in the United States to unite and set a marker and a boundary and say, we do not accept this happening to our teams. And I understand they're franchises, MLS is a single entity. All of that stuff is true, but that doesn't mean you have to accept your team that you've emotionally, financially, and time invested in. You can't allow them to leave without a fight, and you should have everybody gather around and help you. It's a first they came for situation. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I would also add that, like, there is a reason for Major League Soccer to oppose this because it really does seem more and more like Precourt looked at the model and said, he was basically, I think from what I read, he had a lot of money in oil and gas, and basically that was no longer as valuable as it could have been, so he was looking to diversify his portfor.
He put all his stock into Will Trapp.
And he was basically looking for undervalued assets. Didn't really want to pay that expansion fee, but thought, I can buy this club for over market price, but still pay basically less than I would pay for an expansion fee team, and then move them wherever I want to. So it feels like he has kind of had
also seen basketball.
Yeah, he had a specific goal in mind, which is why, like yesterday when we were discussing this, and I think we mentioned it briefly on air, that there was the sort of like, you can't move the club for 10 years after purchase, but then there was an opt-out clause of that, essentially. I didn't realize. I thought it just meant like, but unless you do this or unless this happens.
Yeah.
No, it just specifically said, like, unless you want to move them to Austin. Like, that's ridiculous.
And the other thing is, even if you're, again, not a Columbus Crew fan, you don't live in Columbus, you can think of this as Columbus is an important city for American soccer. You are going to turn fans in Columbus against Major League Soccer. They would not be inviting of another franchise coming to town, right?
I mean, I think, again, sorry, I didn't finish my thought. I got a little sidetracked by being angry. But it was basically that if you're Major League Soccer, you kind of don't want this loophole. You don't want people buying clubs, sort of undervalued clubs or smaller market clubs, and then buying them for like less than the expansion fee, and then moving them wherever they want.
Yep.
So that's part of it as well.
And you don't want to give owners the excuse of saying, I think Columbus is the 32nd biggest market, so it's not one of the big cities in Major League Soccer. But you don't want owners to have the excuse of just being like, well, I can move this team to New York, right? Because suddenly you could be like a slightly larger market than Columbus that's not New York or LA, and they can still be like, well, I'm going to move this there. there.
And you also and with that in mind though, that if you move them from Columbus to Austin, number one, we talked about this. There are people in Austin who want a Major League Soccer franchise there. I think there are maybe slightly more people in San Antonio who would like a franchise there who aren't thrilled about this either. Mm-hmm. But when you move that club to Austin, if and when that happens, maybe when it happens,
doesn't have to be when it happens.
But they become the least popular, most hated franchise in the league automatically.
Yep.
The other clubs will not like them and will root against them actively. Not in a sort of friendly rivalry, not even in a kind of mean rivalry.
More in an MK
Dons. Don't like
more in an MK Dons kind of way, where everybody in England absolutely feels weird about that team and does not like them.
Yeah, and it's not even that they're a villain. It's not that they're the evil empire. They're not the Yankees, or even in Major League Soccer's equivalent, I would say maybe the Galaxy, where it sort of is they've got this
previously.
Yeah, true. Not so much this year, yeah. But it's not even that. It's more just completely negative at that point. It isn't a rivalry because of what they've achieved. It's a rivalry because of what they are.
So one really good place to read up on this is on Reddit. There's in the Massive subreddit, which is a Columbus Crew fan group. Someone has a few explanations of other scenarios where a similar thing has happened, and leagues have ended up. I think there's an NHL team. I don't know the details. It ended up in San Jose. I think there's an NHL team in San Jose.
Mm-hmm. The Sharks.
The Sharks. Apparently, the story of the Sharks is that they somehow ended up giving the owner who was trying to move, I think, a team from somewhere else, instead of letting him move.
Wait, you're telling me that San Jose isn't notoriously known for being a hockey town?
Don't get sidetracked by the lack of ice in San Jose. They managed to do a thing where instead of letting him move the team, they negotiated with him and sort of gave him an expansion franchise there on the condition that he sold the current team to local ownership group and kept it where it was. It's more like a northeastern type team, a more icy type team.
That makes
so
sense.
What I'm saying is the pressure people can put pressure on Precourt, on Major League Soccer, on other Major League Soccer owners, because I believe they all have a say. And you can force a situation where even if Precourt gets what he wants, which is an Austin franchise, we can maybe do this without killing the Columbus Crew. Yeah. So savethecrew.com, and the link to that Reddit, it's a big post, basically, big Reddit post, we'll put in the show notes, and use the hashtags #SaveTheCrew, #Crewsistance, and follow @Morgan_Hughes on Twitter, even, or maybe even especially if you're not a Columbus Crew fan.
Yeah, I think especially if.
All right. Other news?
Yep.
So we're going to talk Champions League, thumbs up, thumbs down later today. But we can't let pass without mentioning the Landon Donovan news. This really caught me by surprise today.
I'm going to say news question mark, but sure.
Yeah, so there was a Grant Wall story. Grant Wall reported it, right? He put his byline on it. That there are people who are suggesting, and they're trying to push Landon Donovan, and he seems amenable to it, into running for president of US Soccer against Sunil Gulati.
There's no glorified tweet, is what I'm saying here. When you say story, it's not like when you read it, because I heard this, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then I read it, and it's sort of like, sources have indicated that he's interested and been contacted about running.
Right, so sources have indicated means that all that stuff is happening, but no one is willing to go on the record. And to be fair, Grant Wall is an established enough journalist that he is not going to be out there doing the breaking glass type thing, shattered glass, you know what I'm talking about? That film? Which based on real things, right? But he's not going to be out there ruining his reputation, is what I'm saying. If Grant Wall's willing to say sources have said this is kind of happening, I'm willing to believe that it is happening.
And I'm willing to believe that some of those sources are in the Landon Donovan camp and maybe putting out feelers to see how people would respond.
Some of the sources may be Landon Donovan.
There is a distinct possibility.
No, sorry, he officially had no comment, so he didn't say anything.
Sure, he officially had no comment.
So, okay, quick take. What would you think of a Landon Donovan presidency run? Like Landon versus Sunil, for example?
I mean, I think it's probably the best bet you have in terms of getting everybody behind a popular candidate to challenge Sunil
More so
Gulati.
than Eric Winalda?
I think so. But just because Eric Winalda, we love Eric Winalda because he's come on the show. That always helps. For what he did for U.S. soccer in the past as well as in the present. But I think for a lot of people, he's a pundit on Fox. And that would be weird to have a guy who talks in the Fox studio suddenly running U.S. soccer.
Wasn't Donovan a colour analyst?
Yes, but slightly more recently was playing for the U.S. national team in a very memorable way, as well as in Major League Soccer. He's more known as a player than an analyst, and I would say for some people it's 50-50 with Eric Winalda.
I got it. My one concern with Landon Donovan right now is I don't know what his platform would be, right? I've kind of got a feel, because Winalda has been so outspoken, I know what he wants, right? But I don't know what Landon Donovan wants. He may have some weird plan where we're all like, what? You into that?
Yeah. I mean, I would say the larger
So I'm
issue,
saying don't be just completely enthralled by his celebrity and his status. Like, we should actually find out what his platform as president would be.
There's also no reason to believe that he's a good candidate, is the
That's what I'm saying,
answer.
yeah.
I mean, but like, not even for what you're talking about, but like, because you're saying like we don't know his platform. I'm saying, does he even know he needs a platform? Like, he's not been in any sort of administrative position ever. So
he could be like Bobby Newhart.
I don't know.
I got the name right. The Paul Rudd character on Parks and Rec.
Oh, Bobby Newport. Yeah.
Bobby Newport, sorry.
I mean, I think he's a little bit more intelligent than Bobby Newport.
No, I'm not saying that, but Bobby Newport is just like, everybody likes me, I should just run.
A character who Jennifer Barkley refers to as famously stupid.
Yes, to be very clear, I'm not saying that about Landon Donovan.
Shots fired at Landon Donovan by Daryl Grove. We'll put that one out as the lead.
What if Donovan's whole platform is, I'm going to force Clint Dempsey to retire so he can't score any more goals? I mean, that could be his only issue.
You never know.
It's a single issue candidate.
All I mean is, I think it's still, we don't quite know what the president of U.S. Soccer does. Like, I really, and I mean that, like, not in like, we haven't really looked into it. It's just, it is sort of difficult. We don't know if it is just like strictly like an administrative, you're there, you're kind of the figurehead, you talk to some people, you schmooze around a little bit.
It's kind of supposed to be that, but Sunil Gulati's changed it.
Yeah.
Without going back into too much detail.
So then that is the only like kind of big question mark I have around that is, is that something he can do? Can he schmooze FIFA executives? Can he come up with long-ranging strategies and plans? Or is it more of like he'll be the figurehead that has some ideas and he'll surround himself with good people who will have further good ideas?
Actually, so we don't know Landon Donovan, right? But he seems to me quite shy, right? In terms of he's not one of those people who can like work a room and go glad-handing and give the, like, you know, kiss babies and all that.
I mean, I'm trying to think of like the few interactions I've had with him in like mixed zone coverage. He's usually just pretty blunt and to the point. And I think that probably isn't the worst thing. Yeah, I mean, I think so, except if like people are, you know, leaving the handout expecting an envelope, and he's like, I'm not giving you anything. What do you want?
Like, I don't read palms. Get out of here.
Got to learn how to play that game a little bit, maybe.
The one other thing worth noting is right now, US Soccer President does not pay. Right, so that actually rules quite a few people out, because I think Kyle Martino was talking about he was interested, but he can't risk losing or walking away from his NBC Sports job, which he'd have to do, right, because it's a clash, and the money that's on the table there to take a non-paying job, because he's got bills to pay. Yeah. He's got, you know, a family to take care of. Whereas Landon Donovan, I'm not saying he's a billionaire, but, you know, he made enough money over the course of his career that I'm really sure.
I mean, he took a year out of the game.
Unpaid, right? So, I'm sure he could easily be not paid for a couple of years, and it's not a worry that he has going in. So that makes him a viable candidate in that way.
He's got that Wells Fargo money. Donovan.
What if his platform is select hat-trick Rick for the national team?
I mean, you never know.
Get the ball to hat-trick Rick.
I think he probably wants to distance himself from Wells Fargo, would be my guess.
Oh, I forgot, because he advertised before all that stuff happened. Side note to this, Steve Gans, the Boston attorney, I saw a quick headline that he has got enough nominations to actually run. So that is definitely happening. Yes. We're all distracted by the shiny object, which is Landon Donovan. There's a Boston attorney who is actually in the race, ready to go. So the election is February. The deadline I keep seeing is early December. Early December to get your nomination in to be US Soccer President. Looking at you, Taylor.
I'm laughing because the deadline you keep seeing or the deadline that we figured out and announced on this show?
Both.
There it is.
But no, I did see it somewhere. I saw it listed somewhere as well. So yeah, someone checked our math and approved.
That's good.
Okay.
I'm sure that's how that process went.
All right, so shall we go across the Atlantic to a place known as the Europe and talk about a thing called the UEFA Champions League?
We should.
So lots of games over Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to do our traditional thumbs up, thumbs down review.
Yes. And I'm going to start with Real Madrid's 1-1 draw with Tottenham. Does that work for you?
It does, yeah.
And I'm going to say thumbs down to Ronaldo for attempting a no-look pass and failing spectacularly. But I'm going to say thumbs up to Ronaldo for knowing his lines. And do you know why I'm saying that?
No, I don't.
Because the camera caught him singing the Champions League anthem. He knows the words to the Champions League anthem. That's how up for it he is, Daryl. That's how experienced he is in the Champions League.
What language is it in? Is it in a bunch of languages?
I'm assuming so. All I know is it ends in the Champions, and he is definitely singing the Champions. So he's into it. He's ready for it.
I don't know if I'm thumbs up or down on
I'm definitely thumbs up on it. If you're ready, if you're singing that anthem. I mean, we always want players to sing the anthem to show that passion. He's singing the Champions League anthem, man. He's ready to go. Thumbs up for Ronnie.
I'll go thumbs up then from the same game. So it was 1-1. Real Madrid hosting Spurs. Thumbs up to, even though they conceded a goal each, magnificent goalkeeping performances from Hugo Lloris and Keylor Navas. at the other end.
Yes.
So Navas had that brilliant sort of, I want to say he just had long fingernails save. Like if he'd cut his fingernails a little shorter, they wouldn't be sort of poking and making the end of the glove hard enough.
I was going to say, his hands are surrounded by a glove,
to make
right?
that save, just let me run with it. To make that save from Harry Kane. So Harry Kane even
Spoken like a man who's played lots of goalkeeper.
Harry Kane even told him, like, great save at the end. You see the footage of him in the tunnel. So that's a nice exchange just to have that on camera. I quite enjoyed that. And then Hugo Lloris, the save that really impressed me was from, I believe, a Benzema header, where it's not, I'm not sure it's fully deliberate, but Hugo Lloris just thinks, just stretch every part of your body, like the dad from the is it the Invincibles?
The Incredibles.
The Incredibles.
You're like almost there with some of these references tonight.
I'm lacking a little bit of sleep. So like the dad from the Incredibles, as I was saying, just stretch out as far as you can and try and. It's like the mom actually. The mom is the stretch one, right? You're a little far behind.
I can't remember.
Anyway, one of the stretchy ones from The Incredibles. Just like do it as much as you can, and maybe a body part will catch Benzema's header. He gets a foot save on Karim Benzema.
I think the mom might be invisible. That might be the daughter. I forget how
it's
it
the
works.
mom, stretchy mom.
Okay,
I'm all in.
Stretchy mom, sure. I'm going to say though, with that in mind, though, thumbs down to Karim Benzema for not making his life any easier.
Why is that?
Because these are the moments that then Madrid fans are like, I don't know about this guy. Can't even finish a point blank header. You don't really give. I feel like Madrid fans don't tend to give Hugo Lloris the credit for that. It's more we should be scoring that goal, and he probably should have scored that goal if he hits that anywhere else but where he headed it. It's probably a goal. So I'm going to say thumbs down just because I want Karim Benzema's life, at least on the field, to be a little bit easier than it is. And it seems like he kind of makes it harder for himself at times.
So we've done thumbs up to keepers. There are at least 2 keepers on my list who've got thumbs down, but I don't want to steal any of yours, so I'm going to let you go first.
So you would like to maybe transition over to Manchester United's 1-0 win over Benfica?
I think we kind of
I'm going to say thumbs up or down, depending on your perspective, to Mile Svilar, is how I believe you pronounce that. He's a young Belgian goalkeeper, youngest ever goalkeeper to start
18.
a Champions League game, and really was 100% at fault for Manchester United's winner, to the extent that there was some debate about whether or not it would be an own goal. I think in the end it was given to Marcus Rashford.
It was on target, so it can't be an own goal.
Except that he caught it and then carried it over the line. So there is that issue.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I would argue that if Svilar wasn't there, the ball would just float in the net anyway.
I mean, it's given to Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, okay,
so, yeah. So I mean, but
if you haven't seen this, it's essentially just an overhit cross, right? Because Rashford isn't shooting on goal. He's so deep. It's a free kick. He just crosses it in high and long. And Svilar comes and claims it. And then sort of, as he falls with it, he sort of takes a few steps backwards and he holds the ball forward away from him, but not enough, and he ends up over the line with the ball.
Yes, and I think the issue here is, if you go back and watch it, is that he basically starts, I think he's outside of the 6-yard box when this free kick is delivered from about like 40 yards out, like over on the far touch line. So I think it's basically he has bad positioning to start, so he's already backpedaling when he catches that ball and then just can't slow his momentum down, because on top of that, he basically catches it on the line. The thing that kind of blew my mind is that you have that, it's not an AR, but it's like the sideline official there, the 5th official who's watching to see if there's anything.
Additional assistant, I believe.
And I always assumed that they were there for to see if the ball crosses the line, but then the referee points to his watch, so he has the notification system.
So that's the Hawkeye stuff is I think quite new in the Champions League. I think they used it in the final last year or the year before, and now it's every game. But the additional assistants, they were, I think, originally there as like a kind of a fudge. If we're not doing goal line technology, but we want someone looking at it, but now they're there to sort of keep an extra eye on the penalty area. I had in my notes, thumbs up to goal line technology. Because this could have been super controversial. It could have been not given. It was just perfectly simple, right? You saw that, like, the referee blew his whistle. Everyone looked at him like, are you sure? And he just sorry, I don't know who the referee is, but he just points at the watch. And he's like, the watch says. And then when you see the replay, it's definitely the whole ball just crosses the line. There's no debate about it. It's kind of clinical.
No, and you feel, and that's why I say thumbs up, thumbs down.
All these young kids love their technology.
Yeah, and that it bites them. Because this young kid, especially, not too happy. Svilar, after the game, consoled by Romelu Lukaku.
Yes, thumbs up to that.
Yeah, and I assume that's the Belgian connection.
It's got to be. I don't know if they've ever played together, because I checked and Svilar hasn't played for the Belgian national team, so they definitely haven't played together.
No, but I would bet there's probably some overlap, some sort of interaction.
Well, also, if you're Lukaku, you're thinking, this could be my teammate in a few years.
There is that,
right? And not that his thing was cynical. It must be like, okay, there's my compatriot. He's obviously having a tough day. It went from him being the youngest goalkeeper to ever play in the Champions League, which was a big deal, to the story is now that he was the youngest goalkeeper to ever play in the Champions League, and he did that.
Yeah.
So good hug from Lukaku.
And I felt so bad because he hugged Lukaku and then he still looked sad and was like, oh, right, all the fans. And had to do the, like, I'm really sorry, my bad to the entire crowd. I'll say this, though. If it makes him feel any better, he's gotten his most embarrassing moment out of his way.
Yes, I did think
that
about
is
that.
sort of like the worst possible scenario when you're starting as a youngster in the Champions League. Mm-hmm. You can't really go much worse from there. So at least he's kind of got that one out of the way.
The thing I'd say as well, but a bit of hashtag analysis here, maybe. The reason this happens is that he's overconfident and is capable of sort of plucking that ball out of the air and then bringing it down, when maybe what he should have done is just tipped it over. But it speaks to a keeper who's full of confidence.
Well, I think the commentators at the time said, like, usually continental goalkeepers, British commentators, are going to punch that ball.
I'm sorry, everybody.
So I love a goalkeeper who's coming to claim it, but in this situation, it hurts him. That's what the commentator said. Here's what Nemanja Matic said, because I have thumbs up to a ruthless Jose Mourinho. After the game, Nemanja Matic said, Mourinho told us to shoot and take crosses because the goalkeeper was very young and it was his first game.
Jose.
And it is sort of what happened to David De Gea when he was playing for Man United, that his first 2 or 3 games, he let in those kind of long-range goals, so teams kept trying to shoot from distance. And eventually, he came good. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but he's pretty good. David De Gea, is it? Or De Gea to your people, because why not? So, there's always the upside there. So, with all that said, condolences to Svilar, but as a Man United fan, good stuff.
Jose Mourinho, I'm sure he's the most prepared.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so also thumbs down.
Future US coach.
It's less talked about, but thumbs down to Roman Bürki, the Borussia Dortmund keeper.
It's not great.
For gifting Apoel Nicosia a goal, not once but twice. It's only one goal, but he essentially gives them 2 goes at it.
I really, if you were, like, if 3 years from now it came out that, like, there was a goalkeeper in the Champions League who was being investigated for match fixing, I would be like Roman Bürki in that game. 100%. 100%.
And the previous games where he left his near post open.
I mean, that is, you could just chalk that up to like bad positioning or nervousness on in a moment of pressure.
The near post thing.
Yeah, in this situation, like, he really does. I know he's trying to either settle the ball or pass it to his player, but he really does just kind of have this hospital ball into the feet of an attacker. Then he saves it and spills it immediately into the pass.
He tries to. It's a low shot that he gets down and tries to scoop up, and he kind of touches it into his chest and spills it one more time.
Yeah.
And then I think the next guy, the guy who scores, did I write his name down? I did not. The guy who scores runs around him to score. So he's beaten 3 times essentially.
It's not great, and it really did. Like, if there are allegations at some point, which there won't be, but in like hypothetical world of like a goalkeeper match fixing, it made me feel like he was like, oh right, I'm supposed to let them score. I better spill this save as well. Shoot. Now it's real obvious.
Borussia Dortmund challenging for the Bundesliga, right? Genuinely challenging to win that title.
Yep.
How is Roman Bürki their keeper? Is he better than this? But I feel like every time I see him, and we've watched a lot of Dortmund, I see something I don't like, and I wonder if there's. I'm saying, why haven't they brought a better keeper?
Just saying, Tim Howard has announced that he's not staying at DC United. Borussia Dortmund.
You mean Bill Hamid?
Sorry, what did I say?
You said Tim Howard.
Him too. He's definitely not staying at DC United.
But I'm not sure Bill Hamid wouldn't be an upgrade. I think Bill Hamid might be an upgrade on Roman Bürki based on what I've seen recently. I bet you could put together a Bill Hamid low-light reel, I suppose, if you wanted to.
And for what it's worth, Borussia Dortmund maybe not in the stars for Bill Hamid right now, but it sounds like Eintracht Frankfurt, I think it was, had scouts at that game where he suddenly was benched for no reason. So maybe the Bundesliga is in Bill Hamid's future. Maybe the Bundesliga is not in Roman Bürki's. We'll see if he steps it up, or if maybe in the January window Peter Bosz starts looking around for possible replacements or competition.
Let's see what Peter Bosz says. Okay, from that same game, I want to say,
I know you got another one.
Thumbs down to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang for denying Christian Pulisic what would have been a magnificent game-winning assist.
Yep.
So again, this game finishes 1-1, but like in the last few minutes, I'm not sure the exact timestamp, Pulisic collects the ball like just to the right of his own penalty area and dribbles kind of in a straight line at pace, beats I don't know how many people, gets in a magnificent cross to the far post, and Aubameyang sort of heads it down. It's actually a decent header, right? It's on target, but the Apoel keeper doesn't get beat at his near post.
Yeah. I mean, that is disappointing, obviously, because it's an amazing run. I mean, it's an 80-yard run from Christian Pulisic to put it on the head of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Probably should have been a goal. It's a great save. It's a decent header. It really is. It's not as though he just fluffs it. But, I would have preferred the highlight. That said, I forget who it was. It was a distant family member of mine. I think it was like my cousin-in-law or something. Posted a video of young Messi. Have you seen that doing the rounds? That it's like Messi as a kid playing for Barcelona, and it's just ridiculous. And it's sort of everything that you would expect of a young Leo Messi.
Does the Barcelona senior team?
No, when he's playing for like the Barcelona academy with all like the youngsters around him. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but there are those similarities where it's just that like efficiency of movement that you see from Messi that you do sort of see from Christian Pulisic. To your point, it's not really this just like bulldozing run down the field, but it's that sort of like it's the efficiency of touches where he's not doing a bunch of step overs to beat somebody. It's like touch, and I'm gone. Touch, and I'm gone. Oh, pass it around you. Another touch. Like it's just very simplistic, but it's so difficult to handle if you're a transitioning defender. It's what sets him apart and makes Christian Pulisic so exciting.
Is there a little bit of sadness as you watch it?
I'm not talking about it anymore.
I mean, I've got to say, I had that reminder that Taylor's got his fingers in his ears that we could have been seeing this at a World Cup next summer, and now we won't be.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, fingers out of my ears. They were legitimately in there.
It couldn't have actually blocked out all the sound.
It was pretty muffled. I was also actively not listening. I was thinking about happy thoughts.
The other worry is because Dortmund are, third
Yep.
In their group now, because Madrid and Spurs are top, Madrid are second.
Hello, Europa League.
You won't even see Pulisic in the knockout round. We'll see him in the Europa League. Yeah.
Hey, maybe some more minutes. Maybe they get a result. Maybe they win the Europa League. He gets some silverware. Why not?
Should we move on elsewhere?
Sure. I'm going to go, since I already talked about Leo Messi, I'm going to go to Barcelona 4, Olympiacos 1.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say I've got a thumbs up.
Was it 4-1?
I think so, in the end.
I want to say it was 3-1. I don't know. Okay.
Well, either way, I'm going to say thumbs up to Leo Messi for responsible sugaring. Because there was a clip, a camera showed Leo Messi pulling something out of his sock and then eating it. And there was some speculation about, like, what is happening? Why is he eating things out of his shin guard?
Is he now the world's most famous diabetic?
I don't know if he has diabetes, but
he definitely
reports
does.
indicate.
I'd know about it.
Reports indicate that it was a glucose tablet because I guess he sometimes gets dizzy on the pitch, maybe because he runs so much. I don't know, but apparently, he ate a glucose tablet in the middle of the game. I'm going to say well done in terms of monitoring his blood sugar and making sure he doesn't get dizzy. Yeah,
good job, Leo Messi.
And then I don't have a thumbs up or thumbs down for this, but what I do have is shut up, Gerard Piqué.
I've got a hand all the way down and then just popping out to the side for Gerard Piqué, because that's what you did, Gerard Piqué. That handball was deliberate.
See, I'm not even... Yes, the handball was deliberate, and that was annoying. I'm talking about the first... So it's basically he gets a second yellow card for deliberately handballing a ball over the line and then doing a weak celebration. Gerard Piqué is never going to win an Oscar for his acting ability. He's no Eric Cantona, is all I'm saying. Not that he won an Oscar either. But I'm even more frustrated by the first yellow he gets, which is just such a deliberate...
I forgot this. We went back and looked. Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely it's the most professional foul you'll see. It's the players at midfield. He's clearly being played in on a through ball. It's going to be a breakaway. And Gerard Piqué just yanks that jersey back. And you think, yep, okay, yellow card. You don't want to risk that breakaway. And then when the referee goes to give it to him,
right?
He protests. And he yells about missing a call somewhere else or whatever. But it's still just like, dude, you know that was a yellow card. Just stop. And so I wonder if maybe he was caught in two minds when he had that handball of do I just walk away and say, yeah, I handled it, my bad, please don't give me a yellow card? And then he was like, nah, I'm going to celebrate and try to sell this one. And I think it was the trying to sell it that made it a card.
The second one, you mean?
I think that's probably what sold the referee on, it's got to be a yellow card. When he is... Because you could say it was, maybe it was accidental. I don't think it was. But if you want to make that argument...
That's what I wanted to ask you in a second.
Yeah, I think if you're going to say it was accidental, then to have that sort of celebration of I have scored a goal in the most routine...
I've scored a definitely legal goal.
It was the FIFA celebration when you don't know how to do the custom celebrations, and so the guy just runs back to midfield with his hands in the air. That's what it looked like. And the referee was like, all right, dude, here's your second yellow. Away with you.
I've seen that FIFA customary celebration.
Yep.
So we rewatched this a couple of times, right? I am convinced now that the ball is slightly behind Gerard Piqué, because my original thought was it's probably not a handball because he could have just thighed it in. And if you've got the choice between thighing it in and handballing it in, why not just thigh it in legally, right? But I think it is enough behind him and he has to just pop his arm out to make sure he contacts it, that to me means it's deliberate.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of also because you know what an incidental handball is when you're sort of running and it hits you, or you're trying to block a shot and it hits you. And when you kind of keep it straight and lean over, you're keeping it straight and leaning over. You're trying to put it in the path, but you're trying to do so in a way that isn't obvious. And it's not like a flailing hand. It's oh, no, it's just part of my thigh. That's how the ball went in. You know what you're doing. You deserve that second yellow. And to your point, yes, 3-1 Barcelona.
How did you find that?
Because I had the Champions League schedule in front of me because you asked me when the next games were going to be played, and I had not yet closed the window.
Good work.
Hooray for off-air conversations.
And the answer was, October 31st, November 1st?
Yeah. Halloween.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Halloween, and then Halloween... +1? November 1st is the other way to go.
The day after Halloween is, I believe.
That also works. The saddest day of the year.
All right, I've got thumbs at a weird, narrow angle for Kylian Mbappe because he can score from there anyway.
Ridiculous.
So PSG beat Anderlecht 4-0. The first goal was Kylian Mbappe with once again a really nice, I think it's a 1-2, or at least it's a very clever angled, fast run in behind that leaves him at an angle at the Anderlecht goal. He seems to not care what the angle is because he just smashes it home.
Yep.
I think he kind of beats the keeper at, theoretically, the near post. He goes across him.
Yeah, and it's an amazing goal, and I think it was compounded for me by the fact that I had watched the first 45 minutes of Man United Benfica, and then I started watching highlights of Liverpool. We'll get to them in a second, and some of the other goals that were happening, the David Luiz strike from distance.
Oh, because this PSG goal was early, right?
Yeah, it was like third minute, I think, and I was just sort of like, come on, guys, let's finish some shots here. But I also want to say thumbs up to Kylian Mbappe for breaking records and reminding...
What's he done?
Well, first of all, he's reminded me that I want to go back in time to like teenage Taylor and be like, get it together. This kid's doing stuff.
Move to Paris.
He scored more Champions League goals, 8 goals, than any other teenager ever. Yeah. Wow. Most goals by a teenager in the Champions League.
He scored a few. So
for
what?
Monaco.
8 goals. More than even like a teenage Messi or anything like that?
Apparently.
Wow, Kylian Mbappe. Do we keep forgetting how good he is?
Yes.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's going to be sort of one of those multiple Ballon d'Or winners in a few years if all goes to plan, right?
I'm not saying this is the same thing.
Star of the World Cup, probably 2018.
That World Cup isn't happening. I'm not trying to say, like, I know this is a controversial comparison, but I would say, like, I think part of it really is, it's kind of similar to the Columbus thing of, like, when you sort of make that financial decision in a move that you're leaving that one club, in this case Monaco for PSG, we talked about this. It makes him less of a fun story because in the end it's like, oh, you were with this club and they were young and they were exciting, and yes, they have plenty of money as well. Not trying to say it's like this underdog story, but it is sort of once he moves to PSG, it's slightly less fun of a story. And I think that's part of the reason why we maybe aren't paying as much attention to
but the goals are still fun to watch.
There is that.
I'm going to say thumbs up to former Man City players for scoring a combined 3 goals against Chelsea for Roma. So Chelsea 3, Roma 3. Roma's goals were Edin Dzeko twice and Kolarov with the other one. And one of Dzeko's third goal was an assist from Kolarov. So those ex-Man City players absolutely did the business for Roma against Chelsea.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Well done.
And great goals. Have you seen the Kolarov goal? It's the thing I call a this way, that way, where you put the ball one side and run through the other way, and then he's in on goal and he strikes it.
This way, that way?
Yeah. Is there a better word for that?
I don't know. But I'll take it.
But you know the thing I'm talking about,
I do know the thing you're talking about.
And then Edin Dzeko on the volley, like a nice floated pass, he just runs onto it and very gracefully for an 8-foot tall man, volleys it home.
He's 8 foot. He's the mountain. Is that what's happening?
He is. Imagine the mountain doing ballet. That's what Edin Dzeko's goal looks like.
I think he's even taller than 8 feet. But still, I'm with you. I mean, and to that point, it was really impressive. The header was impressive. The volley, especially impressive. And just, it's nice to see Edin Dzeko doing stuff. He deserves it. Yeah.
He certainly does. Also, good header in that game. It finished 3-3. Eden Hazard equalised with just a weird header. Or is it because it's Eden Hazard, maybe, that it's unexpected? But he just sort of redirects it.
I mean, when he points to his own forehead and laughs, I'd say, yeah, it's unexpected.
That's true. We just haven't seen it very often from Eden Hazard, right? But you made the point, you just reminded me, you made the point as we rewatched this. You basically said it looks like he's as skillful with his forehead as he is with his feet.
Yeah, I mean, it's because you said, like, is it weird that he scored a header? And I was like, well, no, it's because Eden Hazard, not Edin Dzeko, scored that header. Because it really, it's where it exactly has to be. It's like that perfect glancing header. And it's incredibly impressive because it's not just like the super powerful Joshua Kimmich-esque header.
Yeah.
It was just like, dink, and in it goes. And I know exactly where I'm putting it. And maybe if it was another player, I would say, oh, he got lucky. But because it's Eden Hazard, I say he knows.
Just inside the post is where he's putting it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Decent.
So, Chelsea 3, Roma 3.
What else you got, Daryl Grove?
Ooh, from that same game, I've got thumbs up to David Luiz for inventing the 1-1.
The 1-1?
Yeah, it's a 1-2 when you exchange passes with your teammate. When you play it straight into a Roma defender, Juan Jesus in this case, and he passes it straight back to you, and then you just bang it in, that's a 1-1.
All right.
So David Luiz for inventing the 1-1.
I'm going to also say thumbs up to David Luiz, even if some people will not, for being good at languages and maybe adopting other people's cultures. Because I think some people thought there was frustration with him being subbed off by Conte because he was. But this video, there's a clip that shows him being very annoyed with Alvaro Morata for straying offside. And he clearly says something in Italian that I'm not going to repeat, but it is a very obvious curse, and I have to believe he's learned that from Antonio Conte. So I'm going to say thumbs up to David Luiz for learning languages.
Just to insult people.
Yes.
Classic David Luiz.
Va fun something.
I'm going to say thumbs down to Maribor for being so bad that they even let Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain score. So Liverpool beat Maribor 7-0 at Maribor. It's Slovenian team, I believe. So we watched these highlights, and it was like Liverpool just scoring every few minutes, and the defensive mistakes got worse and worse and worse.
I think the manager's comment after the game was like, "We were pretty bad from start to finish," or like from the whole game through, we were pretty bad.
Oh,
and he was correct.
And we even looked at the group table. So I've forgotten the letter of the group, but it's basically most of the teams have tied with each other, and then they've all destroyed Maribor.
It really is. I think they tied Spartak in their first match day, and since then it's been rough for Maribor.
It certainly has.
It's also not Q. I made that up. But yeah, I think Liverpool top of that group with 5.
It will be one day.
Yeah,
one day the Champions League will expand, and there'll be a group Q.
That's sad, because you're absolutely right. That's what that pause was, the realization is that you're not wrong. But I do want to say, with that in mind, thumbs up to English clubs. Because it was not long ago that there was this consternation about, are they going to lose a spot because of coefficient rankings, and why can't English teams succeed in Europe? And at least in the Champions League this time around, you've got 5 English clubs in the Champions League. All 5 clubs top of their group as of right now. It's
almost as if all this stuff is just kind of cyclical based on how good the individual teams are and not part of some national upswing or downswing.
Also money, but yeah. I'll go with you on that, sure.
All right, you got any more thumbs?
I do. I've got one for Karabakh for their 0-0 draw with Atletico Madrid at home.
I didn't know this had happened.
Their first ever Champions League point.
Oh, all right.
It prompted many Atleti fans to say, like, why is it that no matter who it is, we draw them? It could be Barcelona or Real. It could be Karabakh. We're going to play down to that level.
Are they on a run of drawing? Is that what's going on?
I think it's kind of what they do. Is like they can have really good performances against Barca and draw 1-1, and then they can go away to Karabakh and fail. Or at least fail to score.
Drago Simeone.
Yeah, and I think maybe thumbs down to Karabakh for having a player sent off for diving. I think he got 2 yellows for simulation and off. But either way, they got their first ever point, and that's nothing to sneeze at.
All right, so there's your Champions League roundup. Lots of thumbs up and down and at weird angles for Kylian Mbappe. Before we move on to scouting, we have a sponsor on today's show, Taylor.
We sure do.
Today's sponsor is Ruffneck Scarves. Ruffneck Scarves, our longest running, most loyal, most beloved sponsor. They've been with us a long time. Ruffneck Scarves are the official providers of scarves for US soccer. I'm not sure people will be buying those for a while. For Major League Soccer, for USL, and for NCAA. Maybe the US will have an uplifting, friendly performance in November and a new president, and everyone can start feeling good about the team pretty soon, and then we'll start buying scarves.
I think Ruffneck would do well to have a scarf that's like the road to 2022 starts now. Maybe something like that.
Actually, I haven't checked the website. Maybe go to ruffneckscarves.com, check on their US soccer collection, have a look. Do they have like a Sunil out scarf? Do they have, World Cup 2022 starts now type thing?
If they don't, make that custom scarf.
Speaking of custom scarves, we tweeted out earlier, we asked the question, if you were to custom design a Ruffneck scarf to represent this week's Champions League action, what would it look like? We got some great responses. We've selected 4 to read out on the show.
Mike B8, or more likely Mike Bait, the Premier League logo on Jack's face in Titanic when he says, and if you flip the words on the side of the scarf, I'm the king of the world.
Oh, so it's, Leo DiCaprio at the front of the boat, I'm the king of the world. Yep. So that's how Premier League teams are feeling right now.
Sure.
The king of Europe, maybe? I'm the king of the Europe.
Yeah. I'm the king of the superior European competition. Does that work? Club competition, too.
Jeff says, Aiden on one side, E-D-I-N, Eden, E-D-E-N, on the other. So this is the Roma-Chelsea game where the Hazards and the Dzekos, all the Edens scored.
My addendum to that is
each,
that
right?
You should put the wrong face with the name. So
just to
really throw people off. Like, wait, what? Robert says, a house party with all the team's managers hanging out with Arsene Wenger outside the house looking in. Oh, that's not nice.
No. Robert.
He's already had a rough week when, was it Deeney? Talking trash about how Arsenal don't like to play physical, and Arsene Wenger's response was like, I'll let my players figure things out for themselves. I don't know what that means, except that, again...
It's only been 10 years, we'll figure it out.
For the 40th reference, for like the 40th day in a row, to go back to Sopranos, that does feel like when a Mafia Don orders a hit, and they're like, I'm not saying what you should do, I'm just saying it's a possibility. Like, it does feel like maybe he told Paramedic Soccer to punch somebody in the face.
Keep your eyes on the door, Troy Deeney. Yeah. Keep your eyes on the door. Don't go to anywhere where, what's it called? What's the name of the Journey song?
Don't Stop Believing?
Yeah, don't go anywhere where that song's playing.
I was wondering what it was going to be. I was like, well, there's a bell at the door where you can get distracted by your daughter's terrible parallel parking? Is that what it is?
Final one is from Ravi Khatri. Ravi says, pictures of Hugo Lloris making saves all over one side and a pouting Ronaldo on the other.
I'd buy that scarf. I absolutely would. And if I wanted to, I could also get 20% off any scarf at Ruffneck Scarves.
Yeah, not the custom designed ones.
True.
It's worth saying that. So the custom
I'm
design,
just assuming they're going to make that scarf.
The custom design is for you to go and make it yourself, have a big batch order, and then you can sort of sell it. If you want to make a Sunil out scarf, just for an example, maybe on the other side it would say Landon in.
Yep.
You could make that at ruffneckscarves.com and sell it. If you want to buy a scarf from their store, get 20% off at ruffneckscarves.com with the discount code TOTALSOCCERSHOW, all one word, all uppercase, TOTALSOCCERSHOW for 20% off. Link will be in the show notes.
And thank you, as ever, to Ruffneck Scarves for sponsoring today's show.
Yeah.
And now, as Daryl mentioned before, some scouting.
Okay, so I've realised we've picked up some new listeners
Yep.
in the last couple of weeks. I think because of the US national team debacle, people were looking for podcasts.
Again, I've had that professionally removed from my brain, Daryl, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
Eternal sunshine of the World Cup mind.
Yes. I would pay for that.
So people may not know about the Scouting Network. So here's how it works. One of the ways we fund the Total Soccer Show is we have the Scouting Network where people subscribe with a monthly financial contribution to the Total Soccer Show. You join the Scouting Network and we assign you a young player to keep an eye on. And what we ask is that you sort of watch highlights of that player, get a feel for what he or she is up to, send us a report like when something good has happened. We would include it in the scouting reports, which is what we are about to read.
There we are. Up first, a report from Michael Lazar scouting Jordan Morris, 22-year-old American forward for the Seattle Sounders / you know who Jordan Morris is. Despite Jermaine Jones's rant, Jordan Morris had a great weekend announcing the launch of his foundation, the Jordan Morris Foundation, clever, which is set up to support kids with type 1 diabetes.
Oh, I'm probably too old to benefit.
I was a little bit excited when Michael began it with that because I was like, oh, did he score a bunch of goals that I didn't see? So that's not great. But yeah, at least he's giving back.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, Russell Varner is scouting Hugo Ariano, the 19-year-old. I think he got a year older. He must have had a birthday. American defender for the LA Galaxy. Ariano started at left back and went the full 90 in LA Galaxy 2's 2-1. 2-1 season finale loss to Rayon Monarchs. Sorry, I thought it was the first team. He looked decent, but also he picked up a yellow card and turned the ball over more often than one would like.
James Jones scouting Andrew Carlton. Have you heard of him?
Andrew.
He's one you didn't like so much, but I always thought was good.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
I'm just going to continue with this narrative until people actually believe it. 17-year-old attacking midfielder for Atlanta United. Carlton put in a man-of-the-match performance in the USA's 5-0 win over Paraguay, which is saying something given that Timothy Weah scored a hat-trick. James sent us a really, really good scouting report, but most of it we had already discussed on Tuesday's show. I think, to be fair, James sent it in on time. We just didn't do scouting that day, so apologies to James. But the Cliff Notes version is that Carlton was involved in all 5 of the goals as the USA booked passage to the quarterfinals against England.
And a reminder, that game is Saturday morning, USA-England, Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. It's on Fox Sports 2 and I believe Telemundo, or probably some illegal internet streams if you look around.
Is it Telemundo, not Universo?
Maybe it's Universo. You're right. I think it's Universo. Yeah, Universo, Fox Sports 2, and it's on the illegal internet. Michael Hartman is scouting Josh Sargent.
Fox Soccer Match Pass.
17-year-old American forward. Michael says, after a somewhat slow start to the U17 World Cup, didn't he score the opening goal for the US? But yeah, I guess he hasn't hit the heights quite yet. I'm not going to debate Michael on this. He's right. After a somewhat slow start to the U17 World Cup,
I think he has 1 goal, basically.
Sargent had a strong game against Paraguay, who did a good job of marking him in the first half, but less so when they opened up in the second. He finished the game with a goal and an assist and could have scored a second, but chose to pass instead. That's the kind of guy Josh Sargent is.
But be selfish, young man. You got to get those goals, pad those stats.
Yeah.
Build that confidence.
Make that Werder Bremen first team.
Justify us saying that you deserve to call up when you're 17 years old. Tom Gaffney, scouting James Sands, 17-year-old American center back / defensive midfielder for NYCFC and that U17 team.
I'm going to say defensive mid for NYCFC and centre back for the US Under-17 team.
Correct. James went the full 90 at center back against Paraguay. Up until this match, Paraguay was undefeated and had scored at least 3 goals in each of the World Cup matches. Sands and defensive partner Chris Durkin were able to pass effectively out of the back, in stark contrast to the previous match against Colombia, where Sands and Lindsay struggled to get the ball through the Colombian pressure.
That makes sense to me. Zachary Butcher is scouting Timothy Weah. Oh, there's so many U17 reports. 17-year-old American forward for PSG and, of course, the US Under-17s. Weah played 90, scored in the 19th, 53rd and 77th minute in the 5-0 win over Paraguay in the round of 16. Forget about the first and third. It's all about the second goal, says Zach. On the left, outside the box, spots the poorly positioned keeper, waits until the defender is a half step off balance. One touch inside. Holy bleep, the ball is in the top 4 corner. It was beautiful. On to the quarterfinals.
Indeed. And since that's a happy one, I'm going to skip over the next one and let you finish with that one, the one from Ira. So we end on a happy note because I'm going to say Julie Nishimura-Jensen scouting Alen Halilovic, the 21-year-old Croatian midfielder for Las Palmas.
I don't want any bad news about Alen Halilovic.
I want
him to form a destructive partnership with Bobby Wood for Hamburg 2 seasons ago. Can we go back and make that happen?
For a second, I'm glad you added the 2 seasons ago because you heard the part where he plays for Las Palmas, right?
I did.
But yeah, I'm with you now. I see what you did there. Says Julie, I was extremely excited when my Google alert let me know that finally there was news about our Croatian friend. Unfortunately, the news was bad. He is out until 2018. The injury sustained in the league game against Athletic Bilbao in September was worse than anyone had first thought, and he's undergoing ankle surgery, which will put him out of commission for at least 2 months. So at least it's not like for all of the 2018 season. It's like basically he won't be back until January.
Yeah.
Hopefully, theoretically, maybe.
But I remember when he was an exciting teenager. I want good things for Alen Halilovic.
All right.
Ira Jersey, hi Ira, is scouting Ashley Sanchez, the American forward at UCLA, future US Women's National Team player, we're pretty confident. Undefeated UCLA is now ranked 12th in the nation, and Ashley has added a goal and 3 assists since Ira's last report. She's been in a bit of a dry spell lately, but is still getting at least 70-ish minutes in each game. UCLA plays number 3 Stanford in a Pac-12 showdown on October 26th.
That will be an interesting clash, to say the least, and maybe one that we can talk with Travis Clark about on the Top Draw Soccer Show.
So I did a Top Draw Soccer Show today with Travis. Mm-hmm. We did 10 ways to improve US soccer youth development. I think it's a really good show. I would encourage people to go and listen to it. It's full of good ideas, and Travis's ideas as well. Just kidding. There were a good mix of good and bad ideas on both sides, but there are ideas. There are ideas.
When people ask how long we've been doing the show, and I say 8 years, it never really I'm never really that clear how long 8 years is until I know that was the joke you were going to make. Like I knew you were going to say that before we even got there. And I still love it, and it made me laugh anyway.
So that episode of the Top Draw Soccer Show published today. Please go find it. But Travis also mentioned that he wanted to talk to you about UCLA Stanford in the near future.
Really?
So yeah, get researching.
Are you messing with me?
I'm not.
Was this actually a topic of conversation?
It was a topic of conversation. Yeah.
All right.
It's not in the show, so don't go listening for it in the show. But it was talked about off air.
Convenient. So thank you to Michael, Russell, James, Michael, Tom, Zachary, Ira, and Julie for those reports.
And if you'd like to join the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network, the URL is totalsoccershow.com/join, and you'll get all the information there to sign up. To send a report, it's totalsoccershow.com/report.
Daryl, where do you think a link could possibly be located if people wanted to join the Scouting Network?
5th and Main. No? In the show notes. In the show notes.
Giving away our address? I don't know how I feel about that.
Link will be in the show notes. All right. Taylor Rockwell. Something I want to say. We have both decided we've had a rough week.
Yeah.
Right? So this is the honest truth. Since the US played last Tuesday, that infamous Trinidad game.
Life is meaningless?
Well, life's been tough, right?
Yep.
I haven't slept well. There's been a lot of sort of not feeling great about things. And I think it's finally caught up with us. Both of us are feeling a little rough today. And so we are going to give ourselves the gift of a day off. We're going to take Thursday off. There'll be no Total Soccer Show on Thursday, just so everybody is aware.
Yes.
Yeah.
It turns out that not sleeping enough because you're sad about U.S. soccer combined with coaching 3 to 5-year-olds leads to maybe not feeling great.
Yeah, and then doing the show and doing our other jobs. Yeah, we don't need to make excuses.
I bring that up only because one of the coaches today said, have you not learned to slather yourself in hand sanitizer as soon as you're done with a lesson? And I said, no, I have not. But
I didn't
important
think about
lesson
that.
To learn.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys should have like a...
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a detox room that you go through to... Yeah.
We get all the balls for the lesson.
Sanitation
and pop-up goals, and then also a decontamination shower. Yes.
Okay, Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you again, not tomorrow, but soon.